How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
Good, good. I've been excited about this one because I haven't drawn a rabbit eye in this book yet.
Have you
I
not?
feel like no, like
Need
I've
to make
drawn
it
like rabbit commissions, but I've never done like because when you're drawing a rabbit commission, it's normally like the entire rabbit, and you never really get to draw, I guess, their eye this big and detailed. So
Yeah,
it'll
absolutely.
be quite a fun little project, this one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Choice.
What are you using today?
So I've got Strathmore drawing paper and I've got a mix of pencils. So I've got some Prismacolor and Faber-Castell Polychromos as well.
Uh-huh.
So
Brilliant.
just gonna see how I get on.
Yeah, well, we'll be using the same. But I'm also using pan pastels because I love using pan pastels.
They're really nice, aren't they? I've just started using them
Have
recently. I'm really
you?
enjoying it.
Oh, brilliant. Have you been using it just for backgrounds or like as a base as well for your pet portraits?
So mainly as a base for pet portraits, but
hmm
it is I'm wanting to expand and do more backgrounds with my portraits, so
hmm
it's something that hopefully I will use that for in the future,
hmm
definitely.
Brilliant. For those who don't know who you are, do you want to say a bit about yourself and how you started as an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Lynsey Peacock. I've been doing pet portraits professionally for about 4 years. I originally started and do still use watercolours, but sort of as I've progressed and transitioned, I've started to use coloured pencil more. I mainly do pet portraits. I have done some people in the past, but I definitely prefer to stick to animals, I think, with
Mhm.
what I do. Um, yeah, I've always been arty and really enjoyed being creative.
Mhm.
Um, but I think the last 4 years it's definitely been something that's taken over with sort of a professional side of things, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Are you full time?
Not at the moment, no, I'm part-time, but it's definitely something that I'm working
Oh
towards.
yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. So what do you do as your normal job?
So at the moment I work for a financial services company in sort of the onboarding and recruitment
Okay.
side of things. Previously I was a beauty therapist for about 12 years.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So lots of skills then.
Uh, yeah, I think an amalgamation of things, really. Yeah.
Hmm. I think all artists are a bit like that. We all do odds and ends and different jobs and never like stick to one thing because I think we're just so like creative. We can do quite a lot of different things.
Yeah, definitely. I think sort of my skill set and experience can be adapted to quite a few different roles, really. Or it seems to be the case anyway.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So what are you
So what
doing
about
right now?
so I'm just starting on sort of the blue tones and the cooler colours within the eye.
hmm
What about yourself?
Yes, I am doing I think I'm going straight for the
Ah,
black. So,
okay.
yes.
Getting stuck in there.
Yeah, getting straight stuck in there, going straight. I like to do the darkest tones first because I feel like it sort of like sets the tone and the values for the rest of the
Yeah,
drawing.
yeah, I
Um,
get that.
yeah, it also helps my eyes like settle on, okay, so that's the darkest, that's the lightest, and then it helps you just understand, I guess, the mid-range as well, because then you've got some lights and darks to work with.
Yeah, definitely.
That's normally how I like to work.
I'm a bit ad hoc. I think I just tend to start with what colours I'm drawn to,
Oh yeah.
and then work around it. Yeah.
So when you normally do your commissions, do you always start with the eyes or do you just start anywhere or what's your process?
So yeah, I either tend to start with the eyes, or I suppose depending on what the animal
Mhm,
is and the quality of the photo. I think that's a good place to start to try and get the character in, isn't it? And then
mhm.
I'll usually tend to go then to the top of the head, say the ears, and work my way down.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, same. That's what I do as well. I always start from the eyes, nose, and then sort of work my way out, top of the ears, and then down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's sort of like it sort of makes sense, I think, especially when it comes to understanding, I guess, the structure of how the fur is on the skull,
Yeah,
it helps me to
definitely.
go from the center out and then to the ears and stuff. I don't know, it helps me understand what I'm drawing a bit more.
Yeah, I get that completely.
Yeah, especially if you don't have a very high quality reference picture, then you have to rely more on your knowledge of animal anatomy, I think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I've realised over the last
Mm.
12 months, I'd say, sort of how you don't realise that you're learning as you're doing each portrait, do you? But the
Yeah.
last couple of portraits I've had have maybe not been the best quality photos, and I have realised that I understand the fur direction and the difference that makes.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So have you had any formal art training at all, like at school or something?
So I did sort of up to my A level
Yeah.
art, and then I did fashion photography at
Oh,
university.
that sounds
Um,
cool.
it was good. It was definitely not. I've not used it, shall I say? I think I was a bit out of my depth. People
Okay.
wise, it wasn't quite the right setting for me.
hmm
But I learned a lot, and it was creative, definitely.
So
Um,
what did it sort of entail? I can't really imagine what that would include, fashion photography. Just taking
so
pictures of
I
clothes?
started out. The first year was fashion design, and then the
Uh-huh.
course split off into fashion photography and fashion design.
Right, okay.
And at that point, I wasn't enjoying the design, but I didn't know what else to do. Didn't really want to drop out of uni, so I went to the photography side of things. So it was interesting. It was a lot of setting up of the photo shoots, dressing the
Okay.
models, that side of things, and then it was a lot of sort of almost graphic design, I suppose.
Okay.
A lot of work with Photoshop and things like that.
hmm
Um,
Do you find that
so
that helps then, like in your work now, because you understand Photoshop and I guess the photography side of drawing pets? Does that help when you're doing like mock-ups and reference photos and things?
yeah, I think there's definitely elements of it that I've been able to take away, and my understanding of, I suppose, if somebody wants multiple pets in a portrait, but they've got lots of separate photos, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, placement and things, I think it's helped with. I've got to say, photography, I don't think I'm great at.
hmm
It's something that I think, because when I went into that part of my degree, it wasn't something I'd planned,
hmm
and we worked a lot within a photography studio, and a lot of things were set up for you. So I don't think I've actually got the knowledge of photography that it might suggest, really,
Right,
if that makes
okay.
sense.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, it's very interesting.
but yeah, it's definitely. I think it's. If I look back at what I've done and sort of my artistic side of things, it has definitely played a part.
Because it's interesting to understand what kind of like, especially if we haven't started off as artists, what transferable skills have we learned along the way in our various jobs and careers before we
Yeah,
decided to become artists, and sort of how has that helped us, I think is quite interesting.
yeah, how it shaped you and your knowledge and
Yeah,
understanding. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Because I just had a conversation with Kate Spratt, and she was talking about how we've sort of like become artists at the right time, especially with social media and things, and
Yeah,
just generally like be like becoming artists at the right time of our lives as well. And I've just been thinking about that really, and just how it is sort of coming at the right time for us in our careers when we have learnt other things from other careers, I suppose.
yeah, definitely. It all plays a
Mm.
part, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
it can all be related.
Yeah, I like the thought of that.
Yeah,
Because I used to think like, oh, I've wasted my time. Why didn't I just be an artist, as soon as I was out of school and that kind of thing. Like I know I didn't have social media then and it wasn't quite the right time, for that kind of stuff. But I do feel like I used to feel like, oh, I could have been doing it for 10 years longer than I have been and I would have learned so many more skills. But thinking about it in a different way. It's like I've started it at the time I was supposed to start it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to think as well, it's the art's what we love, but it's also running the business and that side of things as well. And I think that experience is great when it's come from lots of different places.
Definitely, yeah.
Because
Because
you've got quite a varied background, haven't you? From
yeah,
listening to some of your previous lives.
yeah. So I used to be an aerospace engineer, which is very different from drawing
Absolutely.
pets, but it's still creative actually. It's still designing, creating, and um understanding how things work, like, how a pet anatomy is, a machinery, like the same things, like understanding how something works and how something is put together, and then to recreate that kind of thing. So there's lots of elements, I think, of being an engineer, which is very similar to being an artist. And I think I know quite a lot, actually, of engineers who have then become artists.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, like my father-in-law included. He used to be an engineer and now he's an artist now that he's retired. And that was always my plan, to be an engineer and then retire and then be an artist.
Okay.
But I'm just so glad that I've done it so much sooner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because now I can really enjoy it.
It's nice to have something that's yours and that you can fit around your lifestyle and build it into what you want it to be as well, I
Yes,
think,
it's
isn't it?
very flexible work, isn't it, when you're working from home and working for yourself?
Yeah, that's definitely some of the key elements of it that I enjoy as well.
Mm, yeah. So what are you starting with your process then? You're going straight for the eye.
Yes, yeah, I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I'm just starting to get sort of the dark colours in now
Right.
as well. What about yourself? How are you getting on?
Yes, I've done blocked in my pan pastel. It always makes such a difference, I think, when I've blocked in the pastel and then start with a colour pencil, because then you can start to see it taking shape a lot quicker, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what's been your like most complicated commission that you've done so far then?
I think something that's definitely been a challenge for me, but I've really started to enjoy. I think it helps you see the progression as an artist has always been spaniels.
Yeah.
Just like the obviously the fur, the texture, the ears, and things like that. But they're one of my favourite
You didn't want
dogs.
to do the spaniel dog hair on this one
No,
then?
you know what? I had a look at it yesterday.
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just a challenge, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's nice to see, I suppose, from when you look back at your first one to where you've got to as you progress.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're always sort of the ones that I look at and kind of dread, I suppose.
Hmm. It's just all those curls, isn't it? There's a
It
lot to
is,
draw.
yeah, definitely. I think it's just getting that texture, isn't it, in the depth.
Mm,
What
yeah.
about you? Is there any particular animals or?
Um, I guess there's a few that have been complicated in terms of like I've had to create the composition,
Yeah.
but then that's also why they've been like I guess the most memorable as well, because it's given me the most creativity. Um, I'm not just copying a picture. I've got to create the composition how you normally would, I guess, as an artist, and then draw from your created mock-up. Um, so yeah, I've had a couple like that, like a guy holding his two dogs, or two cats sitting on a bed, and all of these are like separate reference pictures. So I had the man and the dogs all separate, and I had to draw them all together with the
Oh
background of
wow.
him in his garden. So it was all separate. And then the one with the cats is like each cat was in on separate pictures, and then the bed was a separate picture as well. So I had to draw all of those elements together. Um,
Wow, that's definitely a challenge then.
yeah, but like, I am 8 years into doing this full time, so I do feel like I was ready to take on that kind of challenge. Like I felt like I knew enough about compositions, lighting, scale when you're trying to scale, pets from different pictures and make them look
Yeah.
like they're supposed to be in the same picture, shadows and contrast. I feel like I knew enough of all of that to create my own compositions, and I think they turned out really well. I'm really pleased with them. I feel like some of them you probably couldn't tell that they were separate pictures.
No,
Um,
I've definitely seen the cat one. That one's fantastic.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So I think it's all a learning experience, and you wouldn't necessarily know what you're capable of, I guess, until you try it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true in a lot of cases, isn't it? Sometimes you end up surprising yourself.
Yeah.
So have you always used the pan pastels to create your backgrounds?
I guess always is about 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while. But I don't just like, because I use Strathmore paper. This is pastel matte paper that I'm using right now.
Okay.
So I could leave the pan pastel on without colouring over the top.
Yeah.
But because I normally use the Strathmore, it only allows for a thin layer of pastel, so it doesn't really cover the paper as much. So
Yeah.
I normally draw over the top as well. So really it is just like a blocking in base layer rather than colouring in a background and then it's done, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
understand.
yeah, so, but I do still really love the Strathmore paper for my commissions. I trust it more than pastel
Yeah.
matte. I haven't practiced with pastel matte enough because I think pastel matte just changes your technique so much. I'm slightly scared to use it for a commission, thinking that I might have to start again if it just doesn't work. Do
Yeah, it's
you know what I
definitely a
mean?
bit different, isn't it? I've
Yeah.
done a couple of commissions on it. Yeah, it brings its own challenges for sure.
Because it allows you to sort of use the pencil like pastels, I think, because you
Yeah.
can layer light on dark, but then also there's so much tooth to cover.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's got its strengths. Tell me about your studio. Where are you working right now?
So at the moment, my studio is downstairs. We've got sort of a kitchen extension, so I've got
Oh,
a desk
nice.
in there. But it's quite nice because we've got sort of the bifold doors onto the back of the garden, so I can open all that
Oh,
up and the weather's
lovely.
nice. And yeah, so the dream is to have a separate space for myself that's a nice big studio, but
Mhm.
you just have to take your time, don't you?
Some more big doors.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was
Yeah,
talking
no.
about that with Kate as well.
Okay.
um, and we were talking about our studios and how she works from home with her children and I work from home with mine. So it's just easier to not have a separate space, I suppose. So you
Yeah,
can just dip in and out when you need to, and you work at night, and having the ability to have your own studio space, whether it's in the garden or you have to travel to it, is a nice idea. But the practicality of it is doesn't really make sense for when you're also trying to be at home for your children. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely. I'm the same. So
yeah,
I've got a little boy. So yeah,
yeah,
it is nice to be able to work around them and be present, definitely.
yeah. That's the benefits of being an artist, I suppose. You can just make it up as you
Yeah,
go along.
yeah, you can swap and change and adapt, can't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, definitely. I quite like that. So do you work part-time then?
So at the minute I'm actually full time.
Oh,
So
okay.
portrait drawing and things like that is in the evenings it tends to be, and at weekends I'm
Ah,
just,
okay.
like you say, fitting it in as and
Hmm.
where you can. Which it can be challenging, but
Are you supposed to be at work right now then?
this is my lunch break
Ah, okay.
technically. So I think
Oh,
I
well,
can
thank
get
you
away
for
with it.
joining me on your lunch break.
Okay.
That's very
I
kind.
know. I've been really looking forward to it.
Oh, good.
I was really surprised when you asked me. It was a really nice message to open, I won't lie.
Oh, oh, of course. I'd love to draw with you. I was looking forward to it. Tell me about your process then, for how you decided on colour pencil.
So I started out with watercolour,
Mhm.
and sort of as I progressed with that, I think I found myself almost using watercolour a little bit as the base, like you
Oh
would
yeah,
with the
yes.
pan pastels, and
Mhm.
then I started introducing the coloured pencil just to get more detail into my portraits.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just found that it was getting more and more that I was using the coloured pencils rather than the watercolours.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
it kind of just phased out organically, really. I still do use watercolour. I really enjoy using that as a medium. But yeah, I've just progressed, I think. I like the level of detail that you can get with coloured pencil.
Yes.
I just think it's, yeah, as I've grown as an artist, it's just become what I've chosen to use, really.
Mhm. Have you tried out any other mediums like paint or like acrylic or oil or
Not, I only to sort of play with, really. I wouldn't say I've used anything at a higher capacity than that.
Mhm.
But so my husband's really arty, and
Oh
he
nice.
oil paints. He's been threatening to teach me for years. So that's something I
Oh
am hoping to do at some point when we find the time.
great. What sort of things does he paint?
So he does a lot of people portraits and
Uh-huh.
things like that. He is a tattooist.
Oh, very
Um,
cool.
so it's a bit of a mix of everything that he can do, really. But if
Mhm.
he's drawing or painting, it tends to be people that he has as his subjects.
Oh, very artsy family then.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's very cool. I would love to learn more about oil painting myself. I did try and dabble a bit a couple years ago before my daughter was born, and then I just sort of stopped because I was worried about like fumes and stuff.
Oh, okay,
Um,
fair enough. How did
yeah.
you find it? Did you enjoy what you'd done?
The thing that I found difficult was mixing the right color. I think because with color pencil, it's one, it's not messy,
Yeah.
and two, you can just pick up the right color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt like it was impossible. I just kept mixing and mixing. I was even Googling how to mix certain colors, and I just kept not getting it. So I think I need to really work on that if I want to do more oil painting. I found that really hard, more than the painting. So I started off just monochrome painting,
Fair enough.
so I didn't have to do any color mixing.
You got to start
Yeah.
somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, it was actually a bit of a weird experience in terms of doing that because I'd been doing color pencil so long. You get used to how good you are in a certain medium,
Yeah.
and then when you start a different medium, you're starting back again from the basics, and it just felt weird to be that, I guess, terrible.
Bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah, like what? How? Why am I so bad at this? So I think I need to just step back a bit from it and try again at some point
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
pretend. Well, I don't need to pretend, but just like, I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So I'll just start again.
Reframe it in your mind a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. Like be okay with being a beginner.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that's what
Yeah.
a lot of people can find difficult sometimes is that frame of mind of being okay with being a beginner again.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I think when you've sat and got so comfortable with something as well,
yeah.
it's just the shock, isn't it, when something becomes a bigger challenge.
Mm. Because even little things like trying out a new paper, I feel like because it's a new texture, it's a new color, like normally the paper I use is white, I'm using dark gray. And it's again like trying to be a beginner again and learning how something works.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It can all be
Yeah.
daunting, can't it? Because you get so comfortable with what you're doing and what you're used to.
Yeah. And that's what I found really fun about these books actually, is that I
Yeah.
can just, it's like no pressure. It doesn't matter if it turns out terrible because I don't have to show it to anybody if I don't want to.
No, yeah, that's true. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to just be able to draw for yourself as well and not think
Mm,
there's time pressure or you've got to have it done. Yeah,
exactly.
for somebody,
And
definitely.
because it's a small little square, it doesn't involve too much commitment of time,
No,
I think. So yeah, I've been really enjoying doing these. I feel like I've learned a lot already, like versus 8 years of drawing commission after commission. I feel like I've learned more in the last 2 months just by doing one of these almost every day.
that's really good. That's
Yeah,
nice.
because
Um,
because it's just so different every time.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, and especially if like you're working on one or two pieces continually, it's
Mm,
it, it's almost a bit of a reset for your brain, isn't it? To do
yes,
something small and manageable and different.
yes, definitely. I did actually once get into a habit of trying to do like an abstract painting piece,
Okay.
like in the morning when I woke up. It
Yeah.
didn't last long because I just don't like I don't like doing abstract. But the idea was like to like loosen up your mind
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get you into the artist like vibe. But I just didn't like it.
I've never really done anything abstract. I don't think it's like you say, you've got to be free, haven't you, to just
Yeah, but I like being more restricted.
yeah. The process and I know what I'm looking at and I can translate that. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like, I want to copy a picture. I want there to be some outlines, like
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be any
restricted art flow.
good.
I don't want too much freedom. Come on.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I do admire people that can paint like that.
Yeah, when I first started with the watercolors, I used to sit for hours just watching videos of people painting just freehand,
Hmm.
particularly like all the floral work and things like that. And
Oh, yeah.
it's so beautiful. And then I'd try and it never really happened.
Mm.
And I just kept, obviously, just kept practicing with it and thought, I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. And then somebody asked me to paint the dark, and that's kind of how this spiraled. But certainly just the freestyle going with whatever's in your mind didn't work for me.
Yeah. Even watercolor, I feel like that's quite a hard medium because the color you mix doesn't dry that color. So how do you know what color to mix?
Yeah, I do get that. I think that probably is something that just comes with time and experience. And I
Yeah.
think with watercolor, you have to be prepared to maybe start again or get it a little bit wrong.
Uh-huh.
That maybe is just part of it, really. But yeah, it is. It's different.
Yeah. I feel like it messes with your eyesight.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I even looking at now? I swear it wasn't that color before.
They all have their own challenges, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, definitely. But I was mostly drawn to color pencil, because it was so clean.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a messy worker. I still somehow manage to make it
Mm,
spread even with coloured pencils. I've got to say.
yeah. Yeah, because I first it was on Instagram, I think, because I was just scrolling Instagram and I saw, oh, what was her name? Jessica Lennox. I think
Okay.
that's how you say her name. Um, she's a color pencil artist. She currently lives in Canada now.
Yeah.
And she does beautiful wildlife drawings. And I first saw her art and I thought, wow, that's color pencil. Like I thought you could only like create something that beautiful and realistic with oil paint, because they're like waxy pencils, it does sort of look like an oil painting at a certain stage, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
and I was just like, wow, like I need to give that a go. And sort of like seeing her work and what the potential of it really got me into color pencil itself. Before that, I was just doing like graphite and like pen and all sorts of other stuff, really.
Yeah.
Um, bit of oil painting in my studio when I had my own studio apartment, but it was very, the easel right there, and it wasn't very friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just shocked as to what people could do with colour pencil, and that's what really got me into it. And now, 8 years later, I'm still doing it, and
Yeah,
I feel like I'm still learning stuff.
yeah, definitely the same. It's one of those mediums where you can see your progression, can't you? You can see how things change, and it is incredible what people can create with it. I completely agree.
Oh, can you zoom in on your phone a bit so I can see your eye a bit more?
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
Just adjust.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's much
Not
better. I can see it so much better now. Oh, it's looking so good.
Thank you.
I,
Oh,
I can't unsee this now. You know these two little reflections and then this bottom reflection?
yeah.
My husband said it looks like a smiley face, and now I
It does.
and now
Yeah.
I can't unsee
See
it.
something. Yeah, it's definitely there.
So is it a rabbit eye or is it just a really funny smiley face?
Just hidden in there. How are you
It's
getting
been
on?
36 minutes already.
Have we?
It's just gone so quick. But yeah, it's going well. I'm just sort of trying to do the details now. I think I've added enough layers. Pastel mat's very like you've got to wait quite a while. Like as people have said, the ugly stage is quite a long time
Yeah.
with
Oh wow,
pastel
you've
mat.
got really far on with yours.
It looks that
Very
far
slow.
because of the pan pastel,
Yeah.
but it's all a blur really. There's no detail yet. It's just blocked in
Well,
colour.
I was a bit worried. I said to my husband, because although I work in the kitchen downstairs, he's
Yeah.
got his office upstairs, and then in the day my little boy's at nursery or whatever,
Mhm.
and I don't tend to speak to anybody while I'm drawing, and I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am, I think, a little bit slower
You're doing
because of that.
very well. It's not really
you.
about getting it finished. It's just a fun experiment, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Just to see how you go.
yeah, and I mostly just want to see how our techniques differ using the same mediums,
Yeah.
and like because every artist starts differently and uses different colors, and then it always looks, so good, but even though you've done it a completely different way, and it's just so interesting.
So how many of these have you done now?
Oh, I think you're either number 18 or number 19.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's really good.
But now I've really been enjoying doing it with other artists because I'm learning so much as well.
Yeah.
I think on this page, actually, this page here with the blue cat eye was the first time I used pastel mat.
Really? Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
one for it as well, isn't it?
yeah, and it was just so fun. My technique is getting refined, I think, because I'm learning how long it takes to get to a certain stage before you can add like details and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've learned quite a lot since then. I think I've only done like maybe 5 others, but yeah. And then I've got the other books as well, the African wildlife one.
Yeah, I've
And
seen.
yeah, that was released last week.
Yeah.
And there's the British wildlife one as well. I really enjoyed that because I drew a butterfly for the first time in that
Oh,
one.
brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, and it was just so lovely because it's the kind of stuff that you don't really get commissioned to do.
Yeah.
So when else are you going to draw it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I was going to say, I
Yes.
was going to ask what inspired you to actually create them in the first place.
Well, I was sort of like I was getting to a stage with my, I guess, career where I was feeling like it was a bit sort of samey and I wanted to do something a bit different. But I love doing commissions. I don't want to stop doing commissions, but I needed a way that I could start doing my own artwork and just start being, I guess, better in color pencil, like have the time to practice something different. But there
Yeah,
was always that thing of like, oh, it's hard to find the time to practice. And then what do you practice? And I just kept finding like, when you're on Netflix, you spend more time browsing to what you want to watch rather than
yeah,
watching it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I felt the same thing with reference photos. Like I'd be browsing just pages and pages on like, Unsplash or Pixabay. And I just didn't know what to draw. There was just almost like too much choice.
yeah,
And so I thought, if I just pick a few, put them on a page, and then I just do like a little bit of it, like, just try out an eye, try out an ear. And that's sort of like how it was going to be, just like a page that I print out and then just do in my spare time. That wasn't going to take me too long because it's only small. And
yeah,
then my husband was like, "Oh, why don't you just like make it into a book because Amazon does book printing now." So we sort of like jointly came up with the idea of like doing 100 exercises that I could then do, because 100 is a big enough number that it is meaningful, isn't it? It's like really
yeah,
cool to say, "Oh yeah, I've done 100 of those drawings."
yeah,
It's quite
definitely.
exciting to say and to do itself as a challenge. And I thought, well, if I really enjoy this process and if I like doing it, then maybe other artists will too.
Yeah,
And that's sort of why I then opened it up to the public. And then I got other artists asking me for like, oh, you should do British wildlife or you should do African wildlife. And like, so I've been making them based on other people's suggestions. So
okay.
yeah, so that's how I've been making so many now. Um, but it's been really fun because I've been drawing the covers myself. So these 4 pictures on the
Yeah,
front,
yeah,
I've been drawing them myself. So like the African wildlife one, the first 4 images in here is the drawings I've done.
okay.
So that's just been really a fun way for me to try it out as well before I, put it up for sale for everybody else, just to make sure I've chosen good pictures that are easy to copy from and easy to actually use.
Yeah,
Um, and like different as well, like not boring pictures. I
oh,
think it can be quite easy to be boring sometimes. So
yeah, to maybe stick with the safe sort of choices and things like
yeah. And it's just sort of like steamrolled from there, and now I've got so many that are gonna come out soon.
that. Oh,
I'm just finishing the
that's great.
covers for them. I've got a human one coming out.
Okay.
So that's gonna be fun for anybody trying to practice human
Yeah.
features. And a marine life one, which will be very interesting because I've never drawn like a turtle or a fish or like seaweed before, so I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Mm. And what else? A farm animal one.
Oh, okay.
So like chickens and pigs and cows and then like accompanying things like tractors and metalwork and chains. 'Cause I like the idea of it not just being about the animal, but being about its environment as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah, because if you were going to draw like an entire piece, say like, cows in a field, you need to learn how to draw the actual field as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so I do like the idea of the books also containing the accompanying scenery that the animals would be in.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
really good idea. I think
yeah.
that's something that I'd definitely like to work on, like the backgrounds and
Mm,
adding that sort of. I suppose adding that to my portraits is definitely my next kind of focus, really.
yes, there is going to be a landscape one that's coming out
Oh,
as soon as I
definitely.
finish the cover for that. So that will be about like, drawing rocks and water and
Yeah,
grass and trees and bushes and all that kind of
that
stuff.
sounds great.
Yeah. I'm gonna find this so useful. So I thought if I find it useful, I'm sure someone else will find it useful too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really
Yeah.
good
Oh,
idea. I'm glad it's
thank you. I'm
going
so
well for you.
pleased. Thank you. I'm pleased that other people like it too, because it it wouldn't be any, I guess, loss if nobody wanted to buy it, but people do. So
No, but
it's
it's
very
nice.
helpful that I can help.
It's nice that it's brought you a little community on here as well of other artists that
Yeah.
are doing similar things, I suppose, as well.
Mm-hmm. definitely. It's been really nice. It's been a nice, like, I guess, conversation starter too. Like I asked you, do you want to draw live with me using this book? And it's just
Yeah,
like a nice way of getting things going
yeah,
and having something to chat about.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a really nice idea. It's been great to watch, and you've had some fantastic artists on as well, haven't you?
Definitely. There's been such a variety as well. Have you done any of these exercises yet, apart from this one we're doing today?
Yeah, I've done a couple. So I've done one of the horses' eyes because I've not really drawn many
Oh,
horses.
nice.
And
Let's see if you got it in there.
I haven't got it in the book.
Uh,
I've
stick
got,
it in.
and now I'll have to. And then next, I really want to do the pug fair. I think that one's
Oh,
really
nice.
cool.
Okay.
But yeah, but no, I've only done a couple, but it's definitely something that I want to sit down and try and do each evening. I've really enjoyed it.
How long have they sort of been taking you?
So I'd sort of, from listening to you speak with other artists, I've sort of been trying to spend maybe an hour or two and seeing how
Yeah,
far I've got.
yeah,
I do think I'm quite slow, to be honest, but I suppose it's good to help you practice to maybe get your speed up as well, isn't it?
yes. I think it's definitely helped me with that because I've been using it to practice my speed. Because I want to be quicker as well. So it's really helped me focus on what's actually important in the reference image rather than trying to draw every single detail.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been very helpful from that perspective, especially as I guess, a more, I guess, established artist, I'd say.
Yeah,
Because I've been doing it for so long now, but it doesn't mean that I, know everything.
And did you all have you always just drawn pets? I know you've done some people, but has that
uh,
always been your main focus?
that's always sort of been my commissions. I haven't really had much time to do anything else really.
Yeah.
I did a tiger recently. I do love tigers. They're my favorite animal. So I drew one of those.
Oh, that's
And then before I was a pet portrait artist, I just drew pictures of my friends and gave them as gifts. So I always
oh,
drew people, I suppose.
yeah.
So it
That's a nice
wasn't,
idea.
yeah, so it wasn't until my friend commissioned me to draw her cat that I'd actually drawn a domestic cat before.
Okay.
So that was a new experience. Yeah, I literally I didn't even think about becoming a pet portrait artist until I was one. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Kind
It
of
just happened.
happens, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just happened. It's like that's it now. You're a pet portrait artist. Oh, cool. You
Bonus.
know? Yeah, definitely. What's been your most unique commission that you remember or was really challenging?
I think when I first started, I got asked to do, I think it was 5 cows,
Oh,
and they were like award winning. So they'd all got the ribbons and things like that, which I'd never really done before.
wow.
And again, it was getting the placement of all of those onto the portrait. The
Mhm.
reference photos were not the best.
Mhm.
So that was the initial challenge, and then obviously getting them all into one portrait.
Mhm.
And then the ribbons were definitely something that I found a bit daunting at the time.
Mhm.
So that one I think particularly stands out for me as a bit of a challenge.
Mhm. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you ever done like material or anything before?
I'd not know. So it
Mhm.
was the first time that I'd actually got to try
Mhm.
it. Um, I was pleased with the end commission. But yeah, it's definitely something that I had to really take my time with and try and
Mm.
figure out.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do sometimes when it's a completely new to you. You've got to just step back a bit and be like, okay, it doesn't matter how long this will
Yeah,
take. I'm gonna get it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with sort of a bigger piece as well. You don't want to get that wrong and then have to start again.
How big was it?
It was it was bigger than A3. I can't remember what the measurements were, but it
What,
was
like an
it was definitely a
A2?
larger piece for me. Yeah, it might have been A2. But yeah, it was one of the bigger pieces that I've done.
Oh, that's good. I do like an A2.
Yeah, I've not done many, to be honest. I think I mainly do A4 and A3. I've not really had many requests for anything bigger. It's one of those things that I keep saying I'll do something for myself that's a bit bigger, and then I've just never done.
It does take forever, so it's better if you're paid for it.
Have you done quite a few larger pieces like that?
Yeah, I have over the years. I remember the first time I was commissioned to do an A2, I was very daunted because then I was only doing like A5s and A4s as like my most frequent ones.
Yeah.
So I was so daunted about doing an A2. It's like, oh my gosh, like how long is that going to take? I just never really done anything that big in color pencil before. But after doing it, I love the scale of it. I like how it looks when it's completed. Yeah. So I have done quite a few, like that one I was telling you about of the man holding his dogs. That was A2 as well.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've done quite a lot of A2s. 2 dogs on a log with a beautiful rock background. I've done 7 dogs all on a page. 6 cats all on a page. I actually have an 8 cat portrait coming up. It's going to be my most subjects on a page, and I'm so excited about it.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, just finalizing the mock-up and making sure all the placements are correct and all the cats are, using the right reference images and I can see everything. So
yeah.
I'm excited to get started on that one actually.
You draw quite a lot of cats, don't you?
Yeah, it's funny how you're like, so you don't really plan to be, the dog artist or the cat artist, I think. So I think because my first commission was a cat, I then posted that on Facebook, and then obviously a lot of cat people commissioned me. And then the more cats I did, the more cat people wanted me to draw their cat.
Yeah.
So I guess it just steamrolled like that. Yeah, so I didn't plan to be a cat artist, but I'm pleased I am because I do really like cats. Yeah. But I would have always said that I was a dog person, so that's funny.
Strange how things work out, isn't it?
Yes, the cats have won me over after years of staring at their beautiful little faces. Yeah, especially their eyes. They're definitely one of the most fun to draw, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Beautiful.
There's so many colours. Yeah. What's your most favourite subject to draw?
I think mine is dogs. I do predominantly do dogs, but I picked the rabbit because I've just finished a guinea pig portrait and I've really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
That was 10.
I like a guinea pig portrait.
Yeah, they're just really cute, aren't they? I don't think it was 10 on an A3.
10?
So it
oh my goodness.
A little while to do, but yeah, they've kind of won me over, to be honest. I'm a bit obsessed with them though.
Are you gonna get one now?
I do want one. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely dogs, nice. I think predominantly. But I'm happy to draw anything that's fluffy, basically. I think.
I was actually commissioned recently to do a possum, and that was so fun. I'd never drawn a possum before. Yeah, it was so fun. Very unusual. Cute. Very cute, very cute. They got very big glossy, I guess like what we're drawing now, a rabbit eye. They've got very big bulging glossy eyes like this. So yeah, very cute to draw a possum. It was my first wildlife commission.
Oh, that's good. Did you find that you had to change your approach, or did it feel different to do? Or
no, I guess because it's still fur. It's still like their ears are more fleshy than like a dog or a cat ear, but I think that's the only difference. It's like you had to draw a bit more skin.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only difference it was really. Everything else is because it's just all fur and eyes and maybe their hands. I've never really drawn possum hands before.
Possum hands look like.
Yeah, they're like little clawy hands. So maybe that was a bit weird because cats and dogs don't have hands, and it's different to human hands.
Yeah,
so but at the end of the day, it's still like you're sort of just copying. The reference images was quite good, so
That's good.
this always helps, especially when it's a new subject.
Was the customer they just love possums, or was there a bit
It
of a
was
story to it?
their friendly neighborhood possum.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
adorable.
I'd actually drawn their cats before. They live in Australia.
That's so
So
cute.
yeah, I've drawn two of their cats, so they're a very lovely recurring client.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they just commissioned me to draw their neighborhood possum, which is he's called Charlie.
Oh,
Very cute. Yeah, very cute. So it was very fun. They should be getting it this week. I'm nervous. Ooh. I'm always nervous when you're waiting for your client to get the portrait, especially in the post.
Yeah, to get there safe. That's
because it's so far away, Australia and America, and it's just like, oh, please get this safely.
I think I've had one that's gone to America, and it just absolutely terrified me.
Did it?
Yeah, and I've tried to pretty much just stay in the UK since then, just to limit the damage control as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, most of mine are abroad. So yeah, like I've even had one in Singapore, Germany, Netherlands, lots of places. I think there was one in Brazil when I first started out. So yeah, I quite like that my art is sort of all over the world. It's a very cool feeling.
International artist.
Yes, international.
Love it.
Yeah, it's quite fun to think that way.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Oh, we're nearly out of time. It's nearly off your lunch break.
It is. This is the best lunch break I've had in a long time.
Oh. Oh, it's looking so good. I have to have a picture of it if you can finish it or not.
Yeah, I will.
Whatever you like. But
I'll look at yours. Yours is amazing.
Oh, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. It's been so fun.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been lovely. And thank you everybody who's joined us today. If you're not following Linsey, go and follow her now. And for these practice journals and books and video tutorials, head over to learnmycraft.com where you can watch this episode and all the others on there. So thank you and see you next time. Thank you, Linsey.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.